Here I got a 2008 Toyota Camry. It has a starting problem, and the check engine light is on, and the guy said if it starts, it runs bad and you have to be pressing the gas pedal, otherwise it's gonna die. And if you turn the AC on, it gets even worse. It turns off right away. So I got my scanner here. As you can see here, I already scanned the car. It has 5 codes on the ECM. So we're gonna look at it now. Press yes. Trouble codes. Hold on, trouble codes right there. So it says cylinder 1 misfire and cylinder 4 is misfiring, right? So as you can see right here, yeah, it is misfiring. But this is the thing. Misfiring means a lot of things. It could be the injector, it could be the spark plug, it could be the ignition coils, or the head gasket too. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give it a shot and see if it starts up. This is a manual transmission, but it will be the same thing for the automatics. Gonna start it up. As you can see, cranks. It will not start. Let's do it again. See what happened. Finally start running. And the cooling temperature is about a quarter. I mean, it's not even that hot. It might be like 100 and some degrees. So now we're gonna turn the AC on. RPMs went up a little bit. They're coming right back down. That is the check engine light. So as you can see now, it's shaking pretty bad. It gets a little bit better, and then starts shaking pretty bad. So as you can see now, it's warmed up. It's running. It's shaking, but it's running. And as you can see, the cooling temperature is 186. So now let's turn the AC on. Let's see if it dies. Let's take a look. There you go. It dies. So it turns off. Let's see if we can get it to start up again. Starts up. Shaking pretty bad. I can feel it. I don't know if it's going to show on camera, but now let's turn the AC on again. See what happened. The AC is on. Now it's shaking pretty bad. There we go. So when it gets hotter, it just gets worse. There we go. It dies again. Okay. So now we're gonna start that thing. See if it does it again. There you go. It's hard. It's a little hard to start. Sometimes it gets even worse. Can't even start the thing. So there you go. It dies. Alright, so there is things that it can be misfiring. It could be an ignition coil, spark plug, or the injectors. But even if it's misfiring, a car that is misfiring, even, you know, it says cylinder number 1, which would be this one, and the number 4. So on the scanner shows that it has the 4 is the real problem. So now that's what is a good question is where we started, right? Well, on this engine, remember this car has the 2AZFE. This thing is a oil burning, and that's where we're gonna start looking at the cylinders, because this guy, he already replaced the spark plugs, didn't fix it. He didn't replace any injectors, but the other thing is, yeah, the injectors could be bad, but if you put a starting fluid, like I said, you can try to start it up with starting fluid. See if the pump is not good, and put a starting fluid right up from this. Take this piece out and right here, not before the mass airflow, because then you're gonna ruin the mass airflow sensor. You put it after the mass airflow sensor. So when it gets hotter, it's just worse to start it up. And then I see some people say that the ECT sensor, which is the what do you call electric cooling temperature sensor, something like that, that you replace that and the car will start right up when it's hot. And then because the sensor is giving wrong data to the computer and blah blah blah. But that is the thing. This car, it will do the same thing, cold, hot, doesn't matter. It will do the same thing. It will start up. It's hard to start, and then as soon as you turn the AC on, hot or cold, it will just die. The only way to keep it running, you got to be on the gas pedal all the time. Well, now this is a mechanical transmission. It's a manual transmission, so you know you got to know how to you got to know how to drive, or you know what you're doing in order to be on the gas pedal, on the brake and clutch at the same time. I know that there's a lot of people that they're professional driving in, but some people that just start driving, it's going to be complicated. So what I'm going to do on this car, I'm not going to replace any sensor, any coils, anything like that, because this guy put a new spark plugs, didn't fix it. You know, it's easy to do. Anybody can do it. I can get my oscilloscope and test the ignition coils, but I'm not going to do that. The throttle could be sticking. Yes, that's another thing. You can look at it. Yeah, the mass airflow sensor is not giving you a correct data. Yeah, you can clean it, but I don't think it's any of that stuff. I think it's a problem in the engine. I'm not sure. I didn't open it yet, but we're gonna open it to see what happened. And I'm not gonna buy the ECT sensors or whatever they calls, because I don't think it's the sensor. Now you can say, yeah, well, what about vacuum leak? A vacuum leak will do the same thing, right? Too much vacuum, the engine will die. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. But on the data, like short-term fuel trim and then the long-term fuel trim, I can show you that is not vacuum on this thing. That is now vacuum in it. As you can see, we're going to go back to the scanner and look at it. But for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to open the cylinders up. I'm going to disable the fuel pump. I'm going to do a compression test, because I don't think this car, I don't know. You know, I don't know how this guy take care of this car. Maybe never changed the oil, or he's running with a low oil. We don't know, you know, what the owner did, the previous owner. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the spark plugs out and do a compression test and see what happened. And let's start with that. The compression is pretty good, and you know, it's a healthy engine. Then we're going to go to ignition coil. We're going to swap them. The 4, we're going to put it on 2, and the 2 on 4, and 1 on 3, and 3 on 1. And we're going to go by that. And then we're going to look the injectors. I'm going to get my oscilloscope, hook up all the wires to look the data. But for now, I'm going to go right to this one, because this engine, like I said, if you see this on your sticker, this engine burns oil. 2.4, these are oil burners. If you don't take care of them, that's what's going to happen. So let's get to it. All right, so I'm taking out the number 4 spark plug, which says it's a misfire, but it has a new spark plug. So you can see it already has a little bit of oil. I don't know if it's going to show on camera. It has a little bit of oil. Okay, we're going to take all of them. All right, so now all the spark plugs are removed from the 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's pretty easy to do it. I mean, if you're new, I know a lot of people do that. You know, change spark plugs, it's so easy to do it. You know, the coil goes here, right there. You just take the 10 mils right there, unplug the wire harness, take the coil out, and just start taking the spark plug. That is pretty simple. You know, it's not nothing. It's not rocket science. Here is the tester that I'm gonna use. I bought this at AutoZone, and come with all the adapters. You gotta look your spark plug, see which one is it. But those spark plugs look big, so I don't think it's this. I think it's gonna be the other. Right, so now I got the gauge in it, the compression tester, and now we're gonna disable the fuel pump, and the fuse is right here. Pop this thing off. This one here, the 30 amps. We get something to take it out. All right, so you take the last fuse out here. There's 30 amps, and that will cut the injectors and all that kind of crap. It's not gonna spray gas inside here. So now, as you can see, it's 0. Let's go inside the car and crank it. Another thing is, yeah, make sure the batteries are good, the connectors are all good, because if you have a bad connectors, sometimes the car would die because it doesn't get enough power. But again, like I said, that'll be something that I don't know. That'll be the first thing that I would check the battery. But this battery looks pretty clean, and it's not even that old. It's 11, 18, so mine's still good. You know, it cranks enough. And let's crank it up. Let's see the compression first, and then we go by that. If it's good, then we start doing a lot of things. So here we are inside the car. So you got to crank the car. They say 5 times or 10 times. So we're gonna crank it 10 times just to see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So we crank it 10 times. Let's have a look. And here are the PSI for that cylinder number 4 that is misfiring. It's 59, not even 60. So what that means is the engine is worn. So as you can see, there is no point replacing any other what do you call parts, be like coils and all that stuff. Do a compression test first. So now you see the misfire means a lot of things: injectors, wires, power from the battery, head gasket, compression on the engine, valves, and all that stuff. So now if you want to go deeper, you can put compressed air inside, check for valves and stuff like that. But I got to tell you something. This engine, the 2AC, they burns oil. The O-rings are burned, so that's why we had the compression. So let's do the other piston. Remember, this has 59, not even 60. A good engine, it should have one of these, like Toyotas, a good healthy engine. It should have around 200 or 210. Some of the new one, they had 210, 180 maybe. You know, that'll be a little bit off, but or at least 120. You know, there's some engines they have 300 psi. All the engines are different. You got to find out which one is it. But whatever it is, like 60, 50, even 80 is not a good compression. You got to be 100 and up. So on this one right here, 59, it's not that good though. This thing is worn out. So let's check the other cylinders. And like I said, I did the number 4 first because that's where it says it's misfiring. So let's just give it a shot on the number 3. So the number 3 is it's hooked up, as you can see. Number 3. Let's crank it, see what happens. And we're gonna crank it same thing 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's take a look. What we had on this one, we have, yeah, I'll say 98, 99. Yeah, around that. So as you can see, it jump up a little bit. So it has better compression than the number 4. So let's get the number 2. All right, as you can see, within the number 2 did not have a misfire, and number 3 it didn't. And the computer says that it's not. That it didn't say anything. So it's a number 1 and number 4. So number 4 is, remember, 59 psi. This was about 98, 100. The number 3. Let's see number 2. Let's crank it 10 times again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's take a look. So what we had here, 90. So this one has 90 psi, so it's less than the number. Yeah, the third one has 98. So this one has 90. Let's take a look at the number 1. All right, so we inside the vehicle for the number 1. Let's crank it up. Oh, I forgot to press the clutch. It's a manual transmission. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, let's take a look. See what we got here. All right, so this one, yeah, I'll say about 80, maybe 82, or maybe 78, something like that. 60, 78, yeah, about 78, I think. Well, it doesn't matter what it is. It's still not 100 PSI. So the number 1 is misfiring because that, but at least it's a little bit better than the number 4. So as you can see now, replacing a whole bunch of parts is not a good idea. You have to know what engine you have. Yeah, if this will be at Toyota 1.8, I'll still do a compression test, just in case, but then I will go for the spark plugs, a vacuum, and all that kind of crap. But remember, even a car with a bad spark plug, it still runs. It will not shut off. You know, it will still run. It will still start. It's still running. So now what we're gonna do is, this is a dry compression test. They call it dry. We're gonna do a wet. We're gonna put a teaspoon of oil in here in each one, and let's see what happens and see if it goes up. So let's do that. This is what I mean about the oil. We just dump it right in the cylinder, right in there. No, you get an idea. Something like this, it will be enough. Dump it right in the cylinder, and let's do the compression again. It's pretty hard to hold the camera with only, you know. So let's see if the compression goes up. If it goes up, it shows that the oil, it will be sealing the what do you call, the upper piston ring. It's going to seal the piston, and then it's going to get a better compression. So as you can see, it's 0. Let's crank it up. The number 4, because this is what is misfiring. So let's check the number 4. All right, so with inside here, let's crank it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so there it is. So what we got 65, no, we got 70. Yeah, that's 70. That'll be 70, 80, 90. Yeah, the little lines are 10. So it went up like 12 PSI. So as you can see, it's 70, 71. Something about, yeah, I think it's 71. Yeah, it's right there, 71. So it went up a little bit. As you can see, 59, 58, 59 to 71, yeah, almost 72, around there. You get the idea. So you can see this thing is just worn out. So it's not good. So it's not going to start. So if it starts, but it's going to run pretty bad. So now, don't replace parts, like I said. If you have this type of engine, I'd say please just do a compression test before you start throwing all kinds of stuff, or even take it to a repair shop. Or just take it to a repair shop and be like, hey, listen, do a compression test on the engine. See if the engine is good if you don't know how to do it. But as you can see right now, I'm showing you on the video how to do it. And like I said, yeah, it could be a fuel pump. There's not delivering enough fuel. Yeah, you can test the fuel pump right there. That's the line for the fuel pump regulator. But as you can see on this engine, there is nothing we can do. So as you can see, this jump up a little bit. So I'm not gonna do all the cylinder with the wet compression test, because we already know with one cylinder went up a lot, like 12 PSI. If it went up like a 1, 2, 3 PSI, yeah, I wouldn't even care. If it has like 160 or 150 or 120 at least, you know, pressure, then I wouldn't care. You know, it's still pretty good. It's warm, the engine is warm, but it's not too bad. So now I'm gonna just put everything back on and see what the guys want to do. If you want to rebuild the engine, or sometimes you get away when you put those engine restore, I don't know how they call it. There's aluminum and copper in it. You can just put it on the oil and it helps with the compression. And I'm gonna call him and see if he wants me to do that. Then I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna add that into the engine and see if it runs better, if it gets compression or not. And if it does, then he got to decide what to do: either sell it or just get another engine. And I'm pretty sure rebuild this engine is going to be a lot of money. And you know, I don't know if you want to spend all that money. I mean, the car is still pretty much in good shape. The transmission is still shifting good, but it just dies. It runs like crap. So, like I said, he did the obvious thing, you know, replacing the spark plugs. He didn't replace the coil, because the coils, you can see, they're pretty expensive. So, but he did not do the compression test. He didn't know how to do it. You know, sometimes you don't want to guess. But again, like I said, I didn't replace any of the stuff. Any like I said, ECT sensor that is right here. Some people replace that sensor. It says the car, it will not start when it's hot, and put the new sensor in it, and it will start right up. It run pretty good. Yeah, in some cases that would happen, but again, like I said, on these type of engines, the 2.4 2 AC FE, US and Canada, made in Kentucky, I think, you gotta do a compression test. That is not if or buts about it, like replacing injectors. Like I said, I can just put swap the injectors, 4 to 3, 3 to 2 to 4. But why am I gonna do that though? You know, so when you don't know, yes, that's correct. But when you have a little bit of experience, first thing you do is compression test on the engine, and then you're gonna save ton of money, time, and you know, these engines are pretty easy. It's not like a BMW where you had to, or Mercedes, you got to remove all kinds of crazy things. But these are not. This is pretty easy to do. So anybody can do it. So like I said, don't throw money in it. Do a compression test, and you'll be happy with it. So hey, thanks for watching. Yeah, I know that the camera angle may be not that good, but listen, this is not for camera. This is for helping people who need this information. It's not, oh, the camera is not good. I don't care. The camera is pretty good. You know, I just want to get the information right to you, whoever needs this information. I think we all do. You know, sometimes you got to go online and look for information. You can't find it, but you got to do it yourself. That's how it goes. So don't waste your money like this guy did, replacing the spark plug. Didn't even need, probably. I don't know. I didn't know how bad the other ones were. But I'm pretty sure that was not the problem. So I'm not going to replace the spark plugs. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. Go to AutoZone and replace spark plugs or ignition coils, because that's not going to fix your problem when you have this type of problem. So again, thanks for watching, and see you.